Recently, I was watching a YouTube video where two men were talking about the wisdom of the ancients. How when either of them think that they've come up with an original idea and original thought, they discover that, well, no, some ancient Greek philosopher had already thought about it. While the ancients may not have had iPhones, they nevertheless still pondered the same life issues common to all of us. As one ancient sage aptly put it, there's nothing new under the sun. Now, what greatly frustrates me is that while most people have at least heard of Socrates, very few secular people today have ever heard of the ancient sage who's saying, I just quoted, that there's nothing new under the sun. And that's in spite of the fact that in his lifetime, he composed thousands of sayings and proverbs, with hundreds of them still being readily accessible to anyone today. He was a Jewish king by the name of King Solomon. And the reason why so few secular people have ever even heard of him today is because the sayings are found, wait for it, in the Bible. Now, the great irony is that the vast majority of his sayings, his proverbs found in the Bible, don't even talk about religion. They don't even talk about anything spiritual. Rather, they're just general observations about life, which, if Socrates had said them, well, they'd be widely revered, quoted, and cited today. In this brief video, I want to bring to your attention 3 of King Solomon's more secular sayings, which, even if you're a committed, diehard atheist, you will still find beneficial. Now, the first proverb is one that you've probably have heard before, at least a partially adapted version, which says, pride goeth before a fall. Now, the fuller and more correct version reads, pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall, which is found in Proverbs 16:18. How our own arrogance often leads us down dangerous paths in life. In the book of Proverbs, Solomon wrote many proverbs about humility and pride, because every life decision ultimately hangs in the balance between one or the other. In any given situation, will we do what is right? Will we admit to a mistake? Will we be willing to take the advice of others? Will we be willing to be corrected? Well, it all depends upon which path we choose to follow, humility or pride. Which brings us to the next proverb, Solomon found in Proverbs 17:10, where Solomon wrote, a rebuke impresses a person of discernment much more than 100 lashes of fool. Since our own mistakes can be our greatest teacher, and we all make plenty of them, don't we? Learning from our mistakes are essential to becoming a better person, to becoming a wiser person. So how open are we to criticism? How open are we to being rebuked by others when we've clearly done something wrong, especially since outsiders tend to be a little less biased? No one likes being proven wrong. But are we the kind of person who's at least willing to learn, willing to grin and bear it? Or are we the kind of person who can't handle any form of criticism at all? As unpleasant as rebukes may be, do we welcome them? Or do we get all defensive and reject them out of hand? Well, again, it all boils down to either humility or pride. If pride, if arrogance permeates everything we do, then not even 100 lashes would be able to teach us otherwise. In Proverbs 20, verse 3, King Solomon said that it is to one's honor to avoid strife, but every fool is quick to quarrel. Now, I must confess that my knowledge of martial arts is limited to what I saw on the Karate Kid. However, my understanding at least is that martial arts are to be used only for self-defense. Learning the art isn't so you can go around picking fights and beating the crap out of other people. That would be considered dishonorable. And in a similar way, that's what King Solomon was referring to when it comes to wisdom. That wisdom, we don't grow wise, we don't grow in knowledge so that we can go around getting into arguments, getting into quarrels, creating strife amongst people. That's what fools do. Instead, the pursuit of wisdom is about learning self-control, learning the art of biting your tongue, learning to be patient, learning to be a peacemaker. Again, with this proverb, all paths lead back to humility. Humility is the foundational virtue for wisdom. So, keep the ego in check, treat criticism and rebukes as an opportunity for self-improvement. And don't be an opinionated, argumentative jerk. There are far too many people like that today. Apply those 3 things to your life, and you will end up becoming a blessing to many people. Now, the gospel writer said that Jesus was even wiser than Solomon. So click on that video down below to learn more. Thanks so much. Subscribe, and I'll see you next Thursday.